Hello, friends. Last week, Doug offered us a template for understanding all of the different sagas that come in Genesis chapter 1 through 11. And just as a quick refresher, that template was as follows. Grace, followed by disobedience, followed by consequences to that disobedience, followed then by more grace. Again, that's for Genesis chapters 1 through 11. I wanted to take some time today to look at that framework from within Genesis chapters 6 through 9, which is the story of Noah's Ark and of the great flood. In the story of Noah's Ark, it begins with grace, God creating this world and everything in it, but then the disobedience comes and God realizes that we human beings are, and this is a direct quote from Scripture, it is not fun, thoroughly and completely evil. Not fun, I know. After that comes consequences, the great flood, followed by grace. I wanted to take some time today to talk about that grace because as far as I can count, there are actually 3 different occurrences of grace in this story. The first occurrence comes when God chooses not to abandon us entirely, but to rebuild through Noah. As I mentioned just a minute ago, God sees us as completely evil, as not good people, but God says, no, we are going to do this over, we are going to do this right, we are going to begin again, and Noah, I choose you. I have no reason to choose you. I do not need to choose you, but I'm choosing you. You are the best that we've got. We're going to do this. God offers us grace by choosing Noah and by not wiping us all out. Then after that, God offers us grace again, this time by having Noah build a boat. Now that doesn't sound like grace, but when you think about it, this really is a form of grace. God is telling Noah to build this ark during what is an extinction event, this apocalyptic event, and God is going to protect Noah by telling Noah to use the tools of these days. And the tools in Noah's days were lumber, wood, trees. And so God partnered with Noah saying, build this boat. Here's how I want you to build it. And we are going to protect you. This is an instance of God using ordinary, everyday things to protect Noah from something dangerous. And this is very important because I want you to think about our own lives in our own day, and some things that we may need protection from. What are the tools that God is calling us to use during this day? I know, and I've read and I've heard from a lot of people a sentiment that I don't trust in masks because I trust in God. If we are understanding the story of Noah's Ark, then God is calling us to use the tools of our day, whether that be masks or hand sanitizer or soap or doctors or science, whatever those tools are, God can work through them to give us protection and grace. So that's the second instance of God's grace. And the final instance of God's grace is this rainbow that God puts in the sky at the end of the story. After the floods have subsided, the scripture says God puts his rainbow, God says, I will put my rainbow in the sky as a sign that I will not harm anyone again, that there will not be an extinction event. And this rainbow is put in the sky as a sign of God's covenant to everyone and everything, not just people, but animals and birds and trees. This rainbow that God puts in the sky is a promise that we will not witness and experience an extinction level event. And with this rainbow, the Hebrew word is it's keshet. And this word means like a warrior's bow. It's a sort of a word play. So it's a warrior's bow or it's a rainbow. And so what God is doing is God is saying, I am putting my bow in the sky. I am not going to use this to harm you, but rather I am going to repurpose it and put it in the sky so that you know that I love you and that I will protect you. So the next time that you see it raining really hard, which during this season in Delray could very well be today or tomorrow, remember God's covenant. When it's raining violently and you need to pull over, or it's raining violently and the house shakes, remember God's covenant. And when you see the rainbow afterwards, remember God's covenant that everything will be okay, that God will protect us, and that this too will pass.